Okay, 11:30 the next day. So yesterday about 6-ish, yeah, 6:30 or so, I was at San Antonio Airport, flew to Las Vegas, met my friend Ron, who flew from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Las Vegas, and Martin, my good friend Martin from the Martin Build channel, he drove us out here from the airport out to Pahrump. We spent the night in the bus and had to do some things before we took off, but we're gassed up, ready to go, and we're heading out of Pahrump for a while. So hopefully this trip doesn't go anything like the last trip. Of course, we decided to leave Las Vegas Valley, the Pahrump in Las Vegas Valley, during a severe heat event. Here we go, on the road again. So in the last go around, my biggest worry was the trailer tires, and then this go around, my biggest worry is the inner duals on the back of the bus and the trailer tires on the dolly, because the dolly is only rated for 4,800 pounds. That truck is, you know, pretty close to 6,000 pounds, probably over 6,000 with the air compressor in the back. Long story long, I am overweight on the tow dolly, but it's pulling good. In fact, I pulled it to the gas station with the emergency brake, or the parking brake on a dually. Didn't even know it was there. So we're gonna get out of here, take the 160 up to into Vegas. I'm gonna stop and check my load, make sure everything's going all right, the tires aren't too smoking hot, and if everything checks, we're gonna go. Target tonight is Flagstaff, Arizona. I'll be happy if we make Williams. Not gonna push it. We're gonna go 55, 60 miles an hour, or as fast as the temperatures will allow me. God willing, the creek don't rise, we'll make it there at the appointed time. Well, already I have a problem. It's friggin' hot today, and this thing is gonna give me fits, I'm afraid. So it's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a long day.
1 hour later.
So today is June 1st, and in Las Vegas, like I mentioned, there's heat advisories for the entire week. There's triple-digit temperatures in Las Vegas. Not that that's unusual, but but it is having an effect on the ability for this bus to keep itself cool. So I'm running with the back hatch open. Stopped here at the scenic overlook before we cross over the dam bypass. Get a good view? Yeah.
Couldn't see the dam though.
Nah, it's around the corner. Here's an aerial view of it. Here's an aerial view of it. We're about over here. We made it to here last time. And they said, "You got gun? You no go. You go now."
That was my phone. You can get over into Arizona.
This used to be the way to. This used to be the way to Arizona. You had to cross this thing. All right, we're gonna hit the road again then. Here we go. I swear we were just here. Seems like just about a week ago. You know, last time I shut the camera off at that point, and quite literally it blew. My tire blew somewhere in here. We made it further than our first trip. So there's that. Kingman. We're stopping at Kingman.
The next morning.
So yesterday I had to run with the hood open. I have to do it again, so check some fluids, get this goat roadie on the freaking road. Well, we're about 3 hours into today's leg of the journey. We're about 20 miles from Winslow, Arizona, and it's about, oh, I don't know, probably 35 or 40 degrees cooler outside than it was yesterday afternoon. And this bus is happy right now at 65. Everything's cool. Temperatures are all running into normal. I am going to have to, at my next fuel stop, which is coming up here in about 20 miles, tighten that mirror down. That mirror keeps moving on me and I don't like it. And I got one of those windows back there, I think it's broken, because it's flopping. I'll check all that out. See how things are faring. Right now, everything is good, and I'm happy. So I'll check back in a little bit when we get the Winslow. Coming into New Mexico before noon. Stopped a bite to eat here at the Dairy Queen at the Route 66 Travel Center, just west of Albuquerque, on to where? Santa Cruz. No, that ain't where we're going. Santa Rosa. That's where we're going now. Let's see. And away we go. On to Santa Rosa. I had to stop here and look at that bridge. As many times as I've driven by this, and I've never stopped to look at it. Truth be told, I didn't turn at the right time, and I missed my turn off, so whatever. Check that out. While we're at the bridge, we decided that we'd take a little trip down Route 66. Alright. Santa Rosa for the night it is. My belt on, get a room, get up early, do it again.
The next morning.
Well, good morning. Just left Santa Rosa about 6:30 in the morning. Here's the view from my office this morning. About 10 hours and 600 miles to go. Oh, check this out. Look at all that alternative energy hard at work. Making all sorts of power. That's the problem with alternative energy. Every day the sun goes down, and sometimes the wind don't blow. End of rant. Well, according to my Waze app, we should be arriving shortly after 7. There's been a time change, so I lost another hour. So it says here 7:08, probably 8 or 9 o'clock. We should be rolling in to the new homestead. So they got 360 miles to go. I stopped here for some fuel. The truck pumps are really busy right now, so I just pulled into the regular pumps, and I got the slowest pump in Texas. I'm sitting here for 10 minutes, and I don't even have 20 gallons in yet. 12 gallons. be here a minute.
2 hours later.
Alright. Well, driving along, all of a sudden I lost my barometer. That's that thing right there, sticking out of the turbo flange there. Ow, that's hot. That thing right there. Now you don't want that to come out, because when that pops out, you got a hole, quarter-inch hole, where really hot exhaust gas can get out. Plus, I need that gauge. I need that gauge to be able to manage heat in the engine. So let's see, if I left it out, there's a good chance I could have got the bus on fire. So if you have a gauge that looks like this, it says parameter, and all of a sudden you lose it, go investigate. I think I got mine fixed, so I gotta wipe this grease off of me and we'll get back on the road. 120 miles to go. Well, I stopped at a picnic area a few miles down the road because I clearly don't have that probe in far enough. It's not giving me the correct reading that I need. So I stopped to try to fix that, but the engine's just too damn hot and I'm tired of burning myself. It is working, although it is reading considerably low. I'll just keep my eye on that gauge and just kind of baby it for the next 112 miles. We're in the home stretch, baby. Don't fail me now. Well, made it home. Let's see, just after 9 p.m. Stay tuned for tomorrow's damage report. See you in the morning.
3 weeks later.
So it occurs to me that after reviewing the footage that I never closed the video out. Here we are 3+ weeks later and I need to close the video out. You've seen the video. You've seen that we had a couple of issues, but nothing major. My biggest concern was these tires, because they are pretty old. And they've been sitting out in the desert heat for nearly 5 years. And really it was the inside duals. You can see here the checking, the weather checking. The inside duals were the ones I was most concerned with, especially after the experience that we had the first go around with the U-Haul truck and the inside duals. Of course, the tires on that car dolly, considering that car dolly is only rated for 4,800 pounds total, and that truck weighs more than 4,800 pounds. And plus I had probably another 1,500 pounds in the bed of the truck. Mechanically, there were no issues, other than, of course, as you saw, yeah, they can do struts. Shh, shh, quiet. Let's see if I can, let me see if I can point this out to you. This is much easier to do when the engine's cooled down, but you can see this thing right here. This is the exhaust gas temperature probe, and just as we were coming into San Antonio, noticed that I wasn't getting any reading on my EGT gauge, and it's because this little jam nut here, there's a ferrule inside there that keeps that in place. That little thing had loosened up, probably because of the multitude of heat cycles, and it just loosened up enough for the exhaust pressure inside the manifold to blow it out. And let me tell you, boy howdy, that thing was hot. Getting that back in was a PITA. And as it is right now, it needs to go in another inch. I mean, I'm getting readings, but they're too low. So this is an important gauge. You got several different heat readings up in the driver's compartment. Exhaust gas temperature, water temperature and transmission temperature. And water temperature and transmission temperature occur after the exhaust gas temperature. That's your first indicator of heat, is the exhaust gas. So if you can manage the exhaust gas temperature, that will have an effect on your coolant temperature and your transmission temperature. So you kind of got to monitor those three things. You don't want to run your transmission too hot because you could damage your transmission. You don't want to run your engine too hot because you could damage your engine, obviously. And you don't want to run your exhaust gas temperatures too high because you can actually melt the piston. So having, you know, those three gauges get more views per minute than any other gauges on the dash, according to me. I had no mechanical issues, with the exception of the continuing saga of where's my oil going. So I have the power steering reservoir, holds about 2.5 gallons. This power steering does not take power steering fluid. It uses engine oil, 15W40. My theory is because if there's any seal failure in this whole thing, that oil is going to find its way into the engine, and you don't want to contaminate your engine. Why is there a spider crawling on my freaking lens? If you look here, you got the air compressor, which is driven off these gears inside this timing cover, and on the back of that is the hydraulic pump, and the hydraulic pump drives this hydraulic motor for the fan, and it operates a ram up in the steering for power steering assist. And every time I add oil to this, it goes away, and it doesn't leak onto the ground. It goes into the engine. If we back up to before we took this trip, I was moving this vehicle, getting it ready, moving it to my neighbor's house. And before I left my neighbor's house, I topped off all the fluids. I filled up my power steering reservoir to the recommended level. There's a dipstick right here. It's only about 6 inches long. This dipstick right here, right? And there's your full mark right there, right? And then you can see the oil in this sight glass. So, you know, first thing you do when you come to check it, before you know, if you see oil in here, you know you're still good. Well, I filled this thing up, and I also, because I pulled the dipstick, it was past the full mark. I drained about 2 gallons of oil out of the crankcase and brought it back to the full level. And once everything was topped off, I moved it, put it in my neighbor's driveway. When I checked the oil 5 days later, I could no longer see the oil. Well, I could see the oil, but I could see it was a little bit low. And I checked my oil level, and it was a little past the full level. So we were on the road from Tuesday afternoon to Thursday night. We showed up here about 9 o'clock at night. Let me pull the dipstick, and I'll show you where I'm at right now. So there's the full level right there where my thumbnail's at. So I'm about 3/4, 7/8 of an inch past full level. So I've probably got 1.5 gallons over full. And when the crankcase is past the full mark, crankcase pressure ends up pushing it out the overflow. There's a little fitting right here that has a hose attached to it that points to the back of the engine, and there's a hose attached to that goes to the back of the engine, then drops down. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little hose right there between the starter and the engine block. That's the overflow hole, and that just dumps to the ground. And I first noticed that a couple of years ago, and I was just out here dicking around, warming the engine up and revving it, and I saw oil puking out. Well, that's essentially what's still happening. The problem is it's not, 4 or 5 gallons over full. It's only 2.5 gallons over full. I suspect that there's a seal failure at the end of that hydraulic pump, and motor oil is making its way in through the air compressor and back into the engine. That's my theory. I don't know how true it is, but that's my theory. And after seeing Bus Face's series on air brakes, I got a feeling I'm going to be exercising those muscles here coming pretty quick too. But other than the excessive blow-by because of the oil saga and the little probe being blown out of the exhaust manifold, those are really the only problems that I had. And they weren't really problems, obviously. It's filthy. And this is the clean part. You should have seen the front of my truck. That dolly was just coated in black sooty oil. But you have to look at the bright side of things, and I don't have to worry about things rusting. Boy, that's dirty. Now, what about the inside of the bus? Oh yeah, on the inside of the bus, I learned that I need to find some way to hard mount my microwave, because that found its way to the floor a couple of times. In fact, I left a pretty nasty gouge in my floor. With this old girl here, I got that for Christmas when I turned 21. The thing is built for a lifetime. You know, it's served me well over the last 8 years. Anyway, so that needs to be addressed. And the other issue that I found, now on the first day I didn't run my generator at all. It would have been an exercise in futility. It was 100+ degrees outside. And even if I'd have ran my air conditioning all day long in preparation, it was so hot that it would just be like pissing on a house fire, you know? So I just didn't run it. I just opened the doors, or opened the windows, and I actually had as you saw, I had the back end open to try to get rid of the heat. But what I did learn, I'm having issue with the generator losing. At least the way I have the generator hooked up, I'm losing a leg of my 220. Only getting power going to one side of the box. Because what had happened is that my air conditioner was still running. I had my phone plugged in so I could run the Waze app, and the phone stopped charging. And none of the outlets worked. And it turns out that I have the outlets hooked up on one leg of my breaker box, and the air conditioner is hooked up in the other leg. Well, my shore power is hooked up into this socket right here. It's a twist lock. Yeah. And it's either there's a wire loose inside of this connector, or the connector has a wire loose. Either way, I'm gonna have to get in here and either wire that directly into that control panel, eliminate the twist lock connector altogether, which is probably what I'll end up doing. I just came in here and cranked it down and tightened it back down, and it worked for a minute. And then I was in here yesterday doing some things, and I figured, well, if I'm going to be in here, I might as well run the air conditioning. And the air conditioning would work. The front air would work, but the back air in the master wouldn't work because that leg was dead. So tires, figure out why my oil system's not working, fix my EGT probe, hard mount my microwave, and fix that. So one thing I did find though, when I was up underneath this thing pre-trip, I was doing the drivetrain inspection and lubrication, going underneath here with the grease gun, hitting all the grease zerks, and there's a bunch of them. But I was down there, and I wanted to, I don't know why I did this, but I'm glad I did. But I thought about it. I said, you know what? I need to see if there's any slop in the steering. So I had my daughter come up here, sit in the driver's seat, and grab the steering wheel and just move it back and forth, you know, like this, while I got up underneath it and looked. And the steering box is way up here, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but that long bar there goes from the steering box back to the knuckle. It attaches up there someplace. And then you got another bar that goes from this tire over to the other side. And that bar attaches to the steering box, moves fore and aft. That turns this tire, and this tire turns the other tire. Where there's a huge tie rod end, right? It's like an automotive tie rod end on steroids, huge. And the taper looked like the taper was probably worn, and it was just rocking on the steering where it attached to the knuckle. I pulled the cotter pin out, it got an adjustable wrench and started cranking on that thing. And I probably put 2.5, 3 good solid turns on that and tightened it down, put the cotter pin back in, and that tightened the steering up immensely. But I'm probably gonna have to go through and get some new steering components, probably. Are these projects ever done? No, it's always maintenance. And I would imagine there's a lot of deferred maintenance on this rig. So we'll just attack those problems as they appear. I think right now I need to concentrate on finding an excavator to come in here and put down some gravel, because this ground here is pretty sandy. It's pretty sandy. And you can see that the bus sinks a bit. So I want to get some gravel in here and eventually a pad and eventually a building, cover this thing up. Having said that, not too bad. It was a better trip than it was with the F450. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank a few people that were instrumental in making this second trip happen. First, I want to thank my friend Martin from the Martin Built channel, who on a holiday picked me and Ron up from the airport, drove us all the way out to Pahrump. He probably didn't get back home and in bed until Tuesday morning around 1 o'clock. So thank you, Martin, for being willing to be our Uber driver for the evening. And I'd like to thank Ron, my friend from Michigan, who flew all the way out from West Michigan to Nevada to drive a 23-year-old clapped out Jeep another 1,300 miles in the opposite direction to my new domicile here in South Texas. And I'd like to thank also his longtime girlfriend for being pretty supportive in that endeavor. Thank you. If you are blessed with friends like that, consider yourself a lucky man. So, that concludes the second episode of the move. Hopefully that'll be the last episode for a very long time. I don't want to move anytime soon, because moving sucks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, share it with your vast social media network. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing, and if you do, hit the little bell icon. That way you'll be notified of the next upload. If you want to support the channel and you shop on Amazon, go through one of the links in the description where you can do all your Amazon shopping. If you want to throw me a couple of bucks, there's PayPal, and if you want to support the channel on a monthly, there's Patreon. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. It means a lot to me. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry. Have a splendid day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Maybe I should roll my window up. Looks like it might rain. That might be a good idea. Yeah, I think I'll do that.